The cat and dog, he can have sex right on the street. Nobody's gonna mind. See, if you, of course, I don't know about nowadays, but used to be, if you had sex on the street, they would arrest you and throw away the key. But nowadays, I don't know.
They gave me this tape player. Look at that thing, man. That's on purpose. That was at the Goodwill. And kind of have my name on it too. Looks like it on purpose. I got these tapes and those. That's Harry Swami. Because Dina Dayal, he's a Harry Case disciple. He was. And he gave me these with all the Bhaktipat tapes. That's what it is. Right? He gave me it. Remember this? Now I'm doubting. Wait. Harry Swami, you know, with that weird German accent. He's like some weird, like from Germany, some weird Swede, some weird. How come he's not from Brooklyn? Okay, but then.
У меня есть очень много проблем по отношению к другим телам.
But when one realizes that he's an eternal spirit soul, then all of these problems in relation to the body just disappear.
Но когда человек осознает, что он является вечной душой, то все...
Okay, that's it. I'll put the tape on. And I recorded because it's like the internet. I think they scrubbed it unless I'm. Is it me? They did it, man. And they don't care. They think it's funny as shit.
Forget the name. It's a difficult name going to them. It's not like Johnson. Johnson is a tricky name. Oh, dear. Wow, boy. I hate you. Smith is good. I hate Smith you. Smith is good because it's a real... Oh, no.
With the rest. It's $10, though. Get issues. The 7th, let me just take this out. So now my balance is back. Canto 7, Chapter 1, text number 12. Good. So therefore, I want to record it, and I cannot trust Gogopal. He always makes mistakes. So let me. Yeah. Whose glories are widespread. Translation. O King, this time factor enhances the sattva gun. Thus, although the Supreme Lord is a controller, he favors the demigods, who are mostly situated in sattva gun. Then the demons who are influenced by tamagun are annihilated. The Supreme Lord induces the time factor to act in different ways, but he is never partial. Rather, his activities are glorious, therefore he is called Urushava. Purport. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 9:29, Samohang sarvabhuteshu namedveshyo stina priyaha. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all. The Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be partial. He is always equal to everyone. Therefore, when the demigods are favored and the demons killed, this is not his partiality, but the influence of the time factor. A good example in this regard is that an electrician connects both a heater and a cooler to the same electrical energy. The cause of the heating and cooling is the electrician's manipulation of the electrical energy according to his desire. But factually, the electrician has nothing to do with causing heat or cold, nor with the enjoyment or suffering that results. There have been many historical incidents in which the Lord killed a demon, but the demon attained a higher position by the mercy of the Lord. Putana is an example. Putana's purpose was to kill Krishna, aho baki yang stanaka lakutam. She approached the house of Nanda Maharaj with the purpose of killing Krishna by smearing poison on her breast. Yet, when she was killed, she attained the highest position, achieving the status of Krishna's mother. Krishna is so kind and impartial that because he sucked Putana's breast, he immediately accepted her as his mother. This superfluous activity of killing Putana did not diminish the Lord's impartiality. He is Suritam Sarvabhutanam, the friend of everyone. Therefore, partiality cannot apply to the character of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who always maintains his position as the Supreme Controller. The Lord killed Putana as an enemy, but because of his being the Supreme Controller, she attained an exalted position as his mother. Srila Madhva Muni therefore remarks, Kale Kala Vishaye Pishita Dehari Karanatvad Suranikam Ivastitam Sattvam. Ordinarily, a murderer is hanged. And in the Manu Samhita it is said that a king bestows mercy upon a murderer by killing him, thus saving him from various kinds of suffering. Because of his sinful activities, such murderer is killed by the mercy of the king. Krishna, the supreme judge, deals with matters in a similar way because he is a supreme controller. The conclusion, therefore, is that the Lord is always impartial and always very kind to all living entities. Ya esha rajanapi kala ishita satvam suranikam ivaidat dayat yada tat pratyanika nasurang surapriyo rajastamaskan praminot yudushraya. O King, this time factor enhances the sattva gun. Thus, although the Supreme Lord is the controller, he favors the demigods who are mostly situated in sattva gun. Then the demons who are influenced by tamagun are annihilated. The Supreme Lord induces the time factor to act in different ways, but he is never partial. Rather, his activities are glorious. Therefore, he is called Urushrava. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nittinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nir Vishesha Shunyavani Paskatyari Shatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. This morning I want to give a little extraordinary lecture. Srila Prabhupada once said that it's very helpful to discuss about the Lord's mercy in a very practical way, and I want to do so. See, when we read Shastra, there's always a little task which lies ahead of us. Es gibt eine Aufgabe, die von uns zu bewältigen ist. And that is how we can make the subject matter which we are reading, how we can own it. In Deutsch etwa, wie wir das absorbieren können. It's very important to absorb or own a transcendental subject matter, because after all it is expected from a devotee to see the reality of life through the eyes of knowledge, through the eyes of Shastra. Maybe look with these eyes, we will only see a world full of divergence, also Ablenkung. It is recommended by our Vrindavan Institute for Higher Education that when you read any texts from Shastra, you should read with three questions in mind. One is, what does it actually say? What is the Aussage? What is explained here? The answer to this question is that the Lord, this is what it says, takes special care of his devotees. And it is said that this is not a question of partiality. The explanation why this is not partiality is given with the comparison that a judge may order a murderer to be hanged and a good man to be rewarded. He does so according to the relative actions of the person. He's not favoring the good man over the bad man. He is impartial. So that is what is said. Now, the next question is, have I ever read something or heard something which also says something similar? And the answer is given yes. There is this wonderful explanation in the a wonderful text in the Bhagavad Gita 9:29, where it says, I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. And then we can think on our own. What comes to mind, in my case, is the moon. The moon who is compared to Lord Nityananda. The moon gives its cooling rays to the house of the good man and the criminal. He is totally impartial. This is how Lord Nityananda is also very merciful, both to the fallen people and those who are qualified. So the next question is, how does this apply to my own life? And I want to answer this last question a little bit now. That the Lord is not partial, and that the Lord is especially favorable towards his devotee is a thing which I was lucky to experience in my own life many times, and especially I was so lucky to experience this at the time when I was coming to Krishna Consciousness. Srila Prabhupada once said that this time remains a very important time in the lives of a devotee. And he said in one purport, it is good to remember what we were before we came to Krishna Consciousness, to be grateful always that we can be in this wonderful movement and have the opportunity to engage in devotional service. Then, when we remember how we were fallen in material life and how the Lord was so merciful to save us by sending us Srila Prabhupada, we will be able to appreciate Krishna Consciousness in a better way. To join the movement for Krishna Consciousness and come under the shelter of a pure devotee is a wonderful opportunity, if not, well, for sure it's the best opportunity. I remember in this connection a nice conversation which took place between Srila Prabhupada and his disciples on a morning walk. Someone was taking the role of the agnostic and said, "I have never seen God. How can I believe in Him?" So Prabhupada answered with giving many explanations how actually the Lord is there in the deity and so on. But the devotees said again, "I have not seen that the Lord is in the deity. He is a statue for me." He took the role of the agnostic. And then Prabhupada just finished that more or less discussion where he went to the level of his questioner but said, "You may not have seen, but I have seen." And then he said, "You have a cataract on your eyes." Das ist eine Augenkrankheit, ne? "And I shall remove it." So, coming to Krishna consciousness means to come to the shelter of a pure devotee who more and more removes that eye disease which does not allow us to see the reality of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is a point in my life where I felt like waking up from a dream mixed with unending material desires, protest against the society I was in, insecurity about what I would do in my life, and many attractions to the counterculture, political opinions, artistic views it had, and many other components. Already before I was 16 years old and this awakening from that dream took place, I had deep interest in things which were spiritual. I do remember that at a very young time, maybe 6 years or so, I was praying regularly to God, especially when I climbed on big trees and I couldn't get down on my own. Also, I had dreams where I would envision myself in a big building made from marble, and I looked towards what I can now understand to be an altar, that I was sitting there cross-legged in perfect peace, and when I looked towards the front of the building, I felt light, warm, peaceful and also soothing light coming in my directions. That was at a time when I lived on an island between Denmark and Germany in the first years of my inglorious material life. Then when our family shifted to Hamburg, I became drowned in the ocean of material experiences, being a very inquisitive person. I needed to know it all. So at that time, I remember someone who was very close to me had an accident and died. And when I was at the graveyard and looked down the already dug grave where the Sac whatever coffin, the coffin was in. I remember I had very deep doubts in material life. It became clear to me that all of us are wandering on thin ice, and sooner or later we will all be put, our bodies will be put in the grave. Already at that time, it was clear to me what Prabhupada said about death. He said the body is still there, but the person has gone. It was clear that my friend had left, and I wanted to find out where he had gone to. But there were no answers amongst my relatives and my friends. A next experience which was very formative was a meeting with the Indian musician Ravi Shankar, who gave a sitar concert in the Audimax art center of the university, where I often went to hear musical concerts. I remember having an interest in Asian music and how much I was impressed by his ability to improvise on the sitar. It was, as a music lover, it was clear to me that the inspiration was the carrying force in any type of music, and he just was so totally inspired that I was amazed, and went after the concert to him and asked him how I could possibly also learn to play like this. At that time I was playing on the violin and the guitar, but a very bad, I must say, nothing special. So he told me that in order to play like this, you will have to read our books. And I said, yeah, I really want to know which book. And he said, read the Bhagavad Gita if you can get a hold of it. And I remember I was going through bookstores and tried to find this book, but it was not possible to find one. Only I remember one time I read a German edition of the Bhagavad Gita, but very poetically composed. I believe it was the Reklamausgabe. And this seemed to be highly impractical and not possible. I was touched by the Gita, but at the same time I thought it's not possible for someone to practice this. Now one day I was again in my favorite bookstore, going through different books and contemplating which one to buy, when I came upon another issue of the Bhagavad Gita. And as I read it, I was highly intrigued, but again I thought it's not possible to live like this. So when I looked up from the pages of the Gita, I saw 3 monks passing in the window of that bookstore. Just walked by. And immediately something like a minor explosion took place. Here were the living proofs that it is possible to live according to spiritual teachings. And I remember I was so happy and so excited that I simply ran out of the bookstore. Everyone thought I had stolen a book and ran behind me. But I didn't care to explain anything. I wanted to meet the monks and ran after them, and I couldn't find them running the left direction, then I went the right direction. But I couldn't find them. I only found the bookstore owners who said, "What book have you stolen?" I said, "Nothing, not even a shadow of your foolish books." So, up till this time, I do not really know if the monks at all existed. I do not know if they were Buddhists or Hindus. I remember they were monks with shaven heads and traditional robes. That's all I know. And I do think that it was Krishna who somehow made a little wonder so that I could become convinced that this is really possible to live spiritual life. This is how I interpret it. So, a little later, on Jungfernstieg, I started to see devotees. I had seen devotees already when I was about 15 years old, before Mönckeberg, before Karlstadt on the Mönckebergstraße, and they did kirtan there, and I remember I was totally attracted. I just stood for maybe an hour, or I don't know how long, and just listened to them. And at the end, I went to one of them and asked them what they were doing. And he explained, "Well, we are singing Die Namen Gottes." I remember this phrase very clearly. And I understood, "Well, God, who is God for you?" And they were explaining, he was explaining. And I remember whenever I was falling in, when I went to bed after I had met that devotee, I dreamt of him, how his face was like a moon coming into my darkened life. I also know the name of this devotee. It was His Holiness Krishna Maharaj. So, I had met the devotees, but it took some time. I was not living really in the town of Hamburg to meet them again, and I did meet them at the Jungfernstieg. At that time, I was very much interested in music and in money and in prestige. So I was afraid of the devotees. I intuitively knew that one day I would live like them, but I didn't want it. I was too attached. So I remember I bought a newspaper and went to the other side of the Jungfernstieg. I sat with my face and with my face facing the newspaper and the Alster River, and my back facing the devotees, and I pretended to read the newspaper. In actuality, I was just listening to the kirtan. I was listening for as long as it took place, and then I sat on the bench for the whole, until the night fell in. I didn't read, I just thought one day I will live like this. I know it, and I don't want it. In other words, here fallen soul feels the call of Krishna, which so mercifully came in his life, and he doesn't want to surrender. Now, the turning point came when one day I was in a total hurry. I needed to, I should first say, this went on for half a year. I was attracted to the devotees. I listened often at home to the Maha Mantra, and before I did music, I would always listen to the Hare Krishna mantra and sing along with the mantra. I would darken my room totally. I would lock my doors. No one was allowed to come in. and I lighted a piece of incense, closed my eyes, and sang the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra together with the recording. Oh, one thing I must say. The very first time I saw devotees was when I looked
I don't know.